Hi, I'm Ethan. Well, do you enjoy playing games? Do you?
Yeah.
Me too. I'm sure that all of you play some kind of a game. It might be a it might be a computer game, please, or it might be something on your phone. It might be some kind of video game, like a PlayStation or an Xbox, or it might be some kind of a board game that you can play with your friends. Everyone plays games, I'm sure of it, but most people think that they are bad for you. Well, I don't think so. I disagree with that. Actually, I think that there are a lot of things that we can learn from games. And applying those things that we can learn into our lives can be beneficial. So I'll tell you what I learned on how to live a better life from games, and I will tell you how living my life as if it were a game really helped me. The first thing I learned is to not be afraid and admit our failures and to start over. Well, in games, we often fail to succeed, and we often lose. But most of the time, while playing games, we don't quit the first time we fail. Instead, we willingly say something like, I'll just do it over again, and we actually do it over and over again. Eventually, learning from the mistakes that we make through the process, we become more skillful and eventually we succeed. But in real life, we do not actually always start over again. When we face failures, we often quit and say something like, well, I'm not capable of it. But if you think that your life is a game, and if you decide to live your life like a game, it's much easier to start over. Just like a game, think that you have many chances in your life. It's not the end of the world if you face a failure in your life. Just like playing a game, start over when you fail, and at some point, when you become more skillful, you will actually succeed. All you have to do is admit that we have failed and learn from the mistakes that we made. Each time we learn from the mistakes and each time we try again, we will be taking a step forward to success. The second thing I learned from games is to search for goals that you want or that you have to do. There is always goals and missions in games, and we always try to achieve them. When we achieve the goals, we feel a sense of accomplishment, and there are rewards that follow it. After completing the tasks in games, we gain experience, we level up, we get rewards in the forms of items or the money that we can use in games. Having goals to achieve in games motivates us to put more effort into it and helps us complete the tasks. The same can apply for our lives. When we set goals or tasks that we want to or that we must achieve, we get motivated. And this motivation helps us put more effort into the tasks and helps us achieve the goals. Also, the missions and objectives in the games itself is what makes the games fun. Think about it, if there's nothing to achieve, if there's nothing to do in a game, who would bother playing it? It is the same for our lives. If there's nothing to do in our lives, no objectives in our lives, no goals in our lives would be boring and meaningless. Therefore, having objectives in our lives, like games, will make our lives more interesting and more meaningful. The third thing I learned from games is to use the resources that are accessible for you. When we are stuck at a point while playing a game, there are always hints or guidelines that we can follow that can help us through the games. And when we're playing games, there are always some other people that helps us get through the games. In games, when we're in trouble, we willingly seek out for hints or help from other people that can help us achieve our goals. It should be the same for our lives. When we are having trouble with the problems we're facing in real life, there's always help that we can get. The help might be from a book, our parents, a teacher, a friend, or even some random person that you meet on the street. But the problem is, in real life, is that we are hesitant to seek for help and actually get help from others. So when we're playing a game, just press the hint button in our lives and willingly get some advice from other people. So applying these 3 points in my life, and I'll show you how it helped me. Well, 2 years ago, in in my graduating year in my high school, I failed to get into college I wanted. Well, that was because I screwed up the SAT test. But applying the first point in my life, I encouraged myself to actually start over, and I retook the Korean SAT test. And after deciding to retake the test, I set objectives that I could follow to actually help me achieve. Well, the first thing and the simplest thing was to never take a nap. So for 1 year, I actually did not take a nap for the whole entire year so I could study more. And I had many other objectives, and the biggest and the ultimate task was to get in the SNU. Also, applying the third point, I got a lot of help from the teachers, my parents, and friends, and even the books I read for fun. And I lived my life as if it were a game, and it actually helped me. Living my life according to these 3 points in my life and living it like a game is what actually made me possible. It made it possible for me to stand here with you guys and actually do this presentation. So, actually to summarize, everyone plays games, but the way we look at games is not always positive. Many people think that playing games causes addiction. They say if you play games, you will get addicted. They say games are too violent. They say games are not educational. And they even say that games are a waste of time. But I do not necessarily think that games are a waste of time. I think there is a lot that we can learn from it. And I think living your life like a game can actually be beneficial. So don't think that games are too bad. Learn from the games and live your life as if it were a game. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.